Hello everyone, Scar here, back with another video. So I logged into Classic WoW one day during the pre-patch before Cataclysm, and the first thing I saw was a Ravenlord mount. And then I remembered that poll I made ages ago, asking what mount I should make next. Well, honestly, I expected most people to vote for the Cillian Tiger. But then the Ravenlord got like 100% of the votes, and I kind of got disappointed and forgot about it. But I will stick to my poll votes and make a Ravenlord. It is, after all, a very cool mount and one of my favorites. And you guys took the time to click a button and vote after all, and hey, Anzu looks amazing. So even if he ate that set the snake god dude and got cursed and can't fly no more, you're still a cool mount. Let's go see if I can get it on my classic tune, since after the Kata pre-patch you don't need a druid anymore to farm it. So if you watched my last video, I made a Crimson Death Charger mount, the one that you get through completing an extra quest after getting Shadowmourne. Well, my guild actually gave me the shards for one. I did not expect or aim for that, so huge shout out to the Nuke and Turtle Guild. Amazing people. I also got Invincible, and I already had my full level 60 Naxxramas transmog ready, and I did a race change to Worgen, so now I can finally feel complete and look epic again. Let's fly over to Sethek Hall's Heroic and see if we can get something other than a boomstick this time. So anyway, while I clear the path over to the boss, I've had an amazing time playing Classic. But I have played WoW since the first day back in vanilla, and by the time the original Cataclysm came, my English had finally gotten good enough for me to start raiding, so for me the classic adventure is now considered complete, as I have been there, done that for Cataclysm and onwards. But I will still play a bit, but not any scheduled raiding I think, so it's time to focus on art. Alright, he's down, and let's do the slow walk to buff my luck with plus 50 and see what he does. Hey, boomstick, of course. Whack! Anyway, I have it over in retail WoW, so I can still make one, as that is one of my rules. I have to have the mount in either retail or classic, so there. So for those of you that don't know, this is the mount I am making, modeled after Anzu, the Raven God, one of the 3 of gods from Draenor. He was in love with one of the other gods, Rukmar. Long story short, he ate the wind serpent god, got cursed, lost his flight, got shy about it, and hid in the shadow realm. Alright, let's see. I need to sketch this out a bit to think and plan. So I will need blue LEDs for the eyes inside the head. And for that I need a battery inside again, so I will need room for that, plus maybe a lid to change the battery, and I'll need a skeleton inside, so probably made from wire and aluminium, maybe a stick for the tail, should give it some stability. The first thing I need to do is to make a little test to see if my LEDs will still work if I burn them in the oven inside clay on 130 degrees Celsius. It's the first time I'm using these, so I need to make sure that they will function before I do all the work. For the test I will need LEDs, aluminium foil, and good old rock. Oh, and let's not forget dear old masking tape. It would be a shame to do all this work and then only at the end discover that my LEDs don't light up. Nobody needs to see me shaping foil, so at the snap of a finger and some editing magic, we got the foil on. So now I can add my polymer clay. Another snap of the finger, and I got the Raven Lord's head shaped with the LEDs inside the eyes. I put some bright blue colored clay around the eyes just to help that blue light make as much blue brightness as possible. I made room for adding wires and feathers later on, as I did not want to waste more time and money and clay on this until I knew that the LEDs would still work. And it's time to test the LEDs with the batteries. And they still work! Great success! Now I can just get going on the rest of the bed. I'll need wire, clay, and my wood block. And with some more magic, I can add masking tape to give the feet some more hold and grip for the clay to adhere to. I'll put some foil around a rock and use another rock to shape and compress it to make it a hollow body that has room for the battery. Between filming the test for the LEDs and the feet, I discovered a way to add color to the clay without needing to buy a million different colors. I can simply add pastel powder into the clay and mix it and get any color I want. So for the rest of this project, I will be trying that out. I'll start by shaping the legs, but since it's my first time trying out this color thing, I'll show you most of the process. For some parts of this video, I will just let the time-lapse do its thing and not talk too much. When I do that, I will turn up the music slightly, so you will know, and down again when I have more to say. putting the legs in the oven for a quick roast first, so I don't mess them up when handling them. I'll attach the legs to the body. Let's bulk up the thighs with aluminium. And add a sturdy stick for the tail. In retrospect, I think I made the tail a bit too long, but it's the feather that goes on top of this one that we are going to actually look at, so meh, I'll just leave it as it is. I made a hole for the wire holding the head. And bulked up the neck before covering it with clay. It's time to make a lid that doubles as a saddle again, so let's put in some dents as key markers as we work our way through the ugly naked parrot looking face. Trust the process, trust the process. Time to add some colors and feathers. Since I'm working with colored clay this time around, I can use an old technique where I make a bar that I can cut slices from to get the same shape and pattern to make all the feathers. Anso is more colorful than he seems at first glance, at least if I'm looking at the in-game model. He is not just black and blue. Perhaps this green is supposed to imitate the color of the kind of shine there is in the feathers of a real raven? But perhaps it was not so easy to make the model have that kind of shine in the game back in the day, and that's why they did it like this. But regardless, I always try to follow what I see, so I'll just go with it. After making a bunch of feathers, it's starting to come together. Most of them will be covered by bigger feathers, but it would look odd without them under, so I need a whole bunch of patience to get through this. It's very tempting to make the feathers super thin, but the thinner I go, the more likely they are to break or deform due to gravity or heat in the oven. As I mentioned, I'm not super happy with how I made the middle tail feather. It's a bit thick and bulky as well, so I did some research and found that there is this metal mesh I can use to make it both a thinner feather and also to give it more hold in whatever position I want. I often find myself making finger marks on already completed work, so I use a rock to have some resistance against the use of my tool. Time for the all-important main tail feather. I like to make details on parts that I will later have difficulty reaching, something I knew would be the case for this feather. This brush I am using as a tool to even out the tail feather with the transparent handle was one of the things I bought when I went to Japan, and it has quickly become one of my favorite tools. I came across some powerful magnets last time I went to a hobby shop and immediately thought that I could use 2 of these for my saddle to keep it removable as a lid for my battery room inside. I wasn't very happy with the lid/saddle, so I had decided to redo it anyways. I put in 2 connected magnets for the saddle, making sure it was possible to separate them later. And then I glued it to the lid/saddle that was made and baked on top of that, so I would have a perfect spot to superglue it in. With the last tail feather made, the Raven Lord got to go for a little toasting in the oven, while I mixed some super sculpy oven bake clay adhesive, yeah that's the name, with some clay mixed with color for the beak, and I thought I could put that on now rather than needing to paint it later on. I left the armor though, as I thought that seemed easy to paint. Now that the bird has been baked, I spread on some super sculpty adhesive when I want to add more clay to an area to make sure that it sticks. In this case, the saddle/cloth that it has around the chest and back. I mixed a bunch of colors and fluorescent Fimo clay into each other in hopes that I could make a nice effect on the necklace he wears. It is supposed to glow, but I was not very happy with them, so I set them aside for later, while I continued with the saddle. I knew I would have to make the saddle removable on top, so I hid the part where it comes off, where the wings are, to make it as little noticeable as possible. I marked the holes for the wings with 2 wires while I worked on the saddle. To make the wings stronger, I twist 2 wires together, and to bulk it out, I use some foil. Now I just need to make one more wing. After another bake, I can remove the saddle and the aluminium that was keeping it from getting stuck to the rest of the sculpture. There we go, stuck forever. Now I can work on the wing without worrying about the lid falling off and breaking. I ran out of the clay I used for mixing the yellow clay for the first wing, but I had some other yellow clay laying around, so I used that, as I was confident that I could make the match later on with some paint. As I was working on a little keychain project that you can see some of in the background, don't worry, you'll get to see more of that soon. I had all these chains that I thought I might as well use for the Raven Lord's necklace. That and a ball bearing and some wire and super glue. Covered in clay. And I had a necklace and could continue with the head feathers. There is no shame in taking extra care, checking the length of the feather and redoing it if needed. And there he is. The clay part is now done. Now he just needs a quick final bake and some paint. And he needs something to stand on, of course. This was not really planned, it just kinda happened. I just mixed some plaster to make a bunch of rocks as a base while he was in the oven. And after that I gave him a little bit of a paint job while waiting for the plaster to set. It's so satisfying to make rocks or mountains and then prime them with black, because then you get to dry brush it after, and you just can't go wrong with that. I was having a blast, so I even mixed some sand for texture, some glue and some dirt color paint to make some soil, and while it was still wet I used my static grass applier to bring some green life into the rocks. Then it was just a matter of fastening him on top and I was gonna be done. But it turns out I was a little bit too sparse with the wire in the legs and gave the body a bit too much weight. So as the legs started cracking and slowly breaking, I had to come up with something. So that little branch I had prepared, just in case something like this happened, now comes in handy. And I can turn it into an actual tree and have one of the branches stretch over the tail feather so that the leaves can catch it / hold it from tilting forward. I might add a translucent acrylic rod under him as well if I see that it's needed, but for now I can turn on the lights and call him done. Enjoy! Like and subscribe and all that stuff, and I'm now also on Instagram if you want to check me out there. Have a good one!